Back out and about on the road, and we're at Katie's garden again. And Catherine, a wet afternoon today.
It is a bit. She said just a bit.
It's a Wednesday afternoon, and it was gorgeous sunshine when I've left. We had rain, we've had hail, and now we're back in the greenhouse and we're ready to do another gardening session. What are we doing this week?
Well, I thought we would have our go at hanging baskets, because
Okay.
I think they're just a really fun thing. They're just a nice way to really get your eye in, because when you're gardening, it's not just about the individual plants, it's about how they all work together. And if you're doing that in your borders, that's a big space, it's a lot of money. If you're doing it in a basket, or it can be in a patio pot as well, it's just a handful of plants, they're only maybe £2 each, and you can just play around and do textures.
It's a bit of a science as well, isn't it? It's like ingredients to a cake. They have to go together. You can't put certain plants with other plants, so you've got to be careful with what you're doing.
Yes, so at Katie's Garden we kind of say we work to a recipe.
Yeah.
So we do have that on the website and things, so it's kind of a little bit of a formula to help us, because one of the things a lot of people do when we explain to them, they're like, that's where I've gone wrong. That you think hanging basket, you want lots of hanging plants,
yeah.
But actually you do want a bit of upright as well.
Yeah.
You've got plants that go up, plants that go down. Because if you just put all the trailing ones, it's a bit like a bad hair day. It all just hangs around, it's all limp and what you want big Bonnie Tyler hair, you want big volume. So yeah.
But you do a lot of baskets ready-made, but we want to encourage people to try their own as well. So what obviously you need a basket to start with. Tell me about container, what you need, what's important in the container. Yeah,
so I think we talked about it last year, that the bigger the container, the easier it is, because you can get all of those different plants in to give it that good shape.
Yeah.
That you've got the upright in the middle, you've got the trailing around the edges, but you've also got room to have the spreading and the mounding ones as well. So we do 12 inches, the smallest we do. Really recommend 14, 16. So today I'm doing a 14 inch, which if it goes well is hanging up in the new garden area.
That's a diameter, 40-inch diameter basket. Okay.
Yes.
And it's all lined with plastic,
Yes.
plastic, so it'll retain the water. And first of all, what you do, you've got to fill it with, what you're filling it with?
Nice, decent compost, because they're not going to get anything new other than this.
Peat-free compost, I hope.
We're everyone's guilty secret.
Yes.
People keep coming back to us going, I tried peat-free. Ours is peat reduced, so we'll say that much, but it does help the plants
There is
grow.
a big changeover, isn't there? And you do. I think you do need peat in there, but
yeah,
let's be political.
Yes. And also help it along even further, the long release fertiliser. Of course you can definitely give them all of these sort of liquid feeds throughout the growing season, but if you put in this, it's going to feed it 6 months, and that's going to really again give you that big volume.
So that's a granular feed in there which slow releases.
Yes.
Okay.
So I always think the best thing to start with is your
we've just got the basket up to about within 1.5 inches of the top, yeah?
Yes, I figure that's about right.
That's filled with
yes, if you fill it, of
yeah.
course when you put the plants in, it displaces it, and if it's too low, everything falls over. So some people apologise, they're like, I'm taking so long to choose my plants, but I have to say I can spend a working week.
That's the fun of it.
Yes.
And then changing your mind when you get there.
I always you start with the one plant, and then you're looking for stuff to match it, and by the end of it you've got rid of the first plant.
So we started right in the centre with obviously the main focal plant, which has got the height as well. Yeah.
Yes. So we've gone with a Pelegonium here, or as everyone keeps calling them, geraniums.
Yeah.
Just to confuse everyone, but you're wrong. They're called Pelegonians.
But we don't mind.
No.
We don't mind if you call whatever you call
I will ignore that the label says geranium as well. They're Pelegoniums.
And Pelegonians smell so lovely.
Yes, they're really nice, and they're just such an easy one.
Yeah.
The actual individual flowers last ages, so you don't have to keep deadheading. They're quite forgiving if you don't water. Yeah. So if you're that kind of person, they're your number one choice.
I notice you're quite firm when you put that in. You're not gentle. You do put them in solidly, don't you?
Well, if you think they're hanging up, they're going to catch a lot of the wind.
Yeah.
So you definitely don't want anything falling over.
And you don't want air pockets in there either, do you?
No.
If the roots go into an air pocket, they're going to start sucking air, and they want to be sucking the moisture.
We do. So one thing you really have to look out for. Read your labels, because almost every plant you could use, it comes as the upright version or the trailing version. Yeah. So I've got the Pelegonium here, but you get the trailing ones as well. I'm going to put in some petunias, but some petunias go up, some go down, some fuchsias go up, some go down, lobelias, so begonias, you have to watch out
again,
for that.
Just read the label. And you've got raw pink shade, pink and pale greens. My mum would have loved this. She loves the pinks. Very delicate.
Oh, we'll call that a nice tribute to her then. But that's another way of getting your eye in on it, is if you try doing them all on the one colour, then you really are just looking about the different shapes of the flowers, the different shapes of the leaves, it's all the textures of it. So it's a real good learning experience. So I'm gone with Petunia sophinia, which lots of people know, but there are lots of other trailing petunias. So I'm going in with that, and I'm going with 2 of them.
Again, you're quite forceful when that goes in there.
What are you saying?
You've got to be firm, haven't you? I mean, you can't push your foot around. It's got to get a good purchase in that soil.
Yes. So I'm going to use 2 of them, but I'm not putting them next to each other. But that's going to give us a bit of cohesion. Now, the other big thing, a lot of people like the real impressive cascading effect.
Yeah.
So I'm using Nepeta, which is actually of the catnip family, although you wouldn't really guess that. Yeah. And that incredibly vigorous plant, and that's really going to spill down. Yeah. No matter how big your basket, you only want the one of these.
Alternative to the boring ivy, isn't it?
Yes, it's quite similar to that.
Ivies are fine, but they do get a bit boring sometimes.
Yes, and this does it even more. It's nice and thick and bushy. So it'll really fill out, and that will give you, if you want it going down, 2-3 foot, this is the plant to go for. And
then you top it up around with, firm it in again and top it up with more soil.
Yes. So getting all that around there, and this is a nice bushy one.
I suppose where you do it is probably important as well. I mean, if you do it on your kitchen table, you're going to get a mess. Do it outside, have a big bench, plenty of room to splash around with, really.
Yes, that's what's really great at working at the nursery, is we have benches to save your back, so you're not crawling around. And I've also, people might be able to hear the chinking around here. I'm making it in a cone, so I've put it in a pot to hold it up.
And you've got it at the right height, so you're looking at what you're doing. So that's the height that you'll see it.
Exactly. So you want to, work it out. Yeah. It's a nice fun thing, so you don't feel you're rushing on it. Another one people might not know, Bacopa, that's got lovely little daisy flowers, and this is what I call a mingler.
Oh, sorry, I don't know that one. It's really nice.
They're very pretty.
Bacopa, never heard of it.
So white, blue, pink, and there's a yellow one which is a slightly different flower on it. But I said that's one, it's semi-trailing, a bit spreading, so it's going to give you a little bit of fullness, but it's just going to weave amongst everything. Because what you want is your basket to look like it's all sort of one thing that belongs together. You don't want the one plant, the other plant, the other plant.
Rub it in, bang, there it goes.
You're not leaving now.
You could almost, the way you plant those, you could almost pick up the whole basket by that plant. That is solid in there, because you don't get rocking around. As you say, the wind will blow it away. Yes.
So the other petunia going in now. So we've gone Petunia, the trailing Nepeta, our mingling Bacopa, and then another trailing petunia here, and then we'll finish off.
I love the way you not go for symmetry, because some people put one side and one the other, which is very nice, but it's nice to be risky, isn't it?
Yeah, and sometimes you have to think, if it's going against a wall, sometimes you want your trailing at the front, really, and you just want an upright at the back.
And if you've got trailing all round, it's going against the wall, the ones that hit the wall are going to get damaged.
Yes, and it can end up looking a bit manky.
So you've got a front and a back to that. So you've got that in your head before you start.
Yes, although of course if you really think about it, you think about which way the chains and the hook face.
Yes.
You end up, it spins around, you're like,
but they do spin round, but you can change it. But you need to know where it's going first as well, don't you? In your house or in your garden.
So it's not just, walls is the harder option. If you're doing it into fences, you can just screw in those brackets straight in. You don't need drills or anything like that. Some people do clever things. They get a bit of rope and you can hang it off trees if you've got a nice mature.
Trees is beautiful.
Yes.
Especially if you get some fruit trees and put them in there. It's really, and it's good for the cross-pollination as well.
Oh, I suppose so, yes. Because actually, yes, the Bacopa, that's a nice, good bee-friendly. The Nepeta, it doesn't flower much, but the bees do love that. And this Brachyoscome as well. And now I'm going to do the bit that upsets people. I am going to cut off the flowers.
Oh no! Well, you couldn't know. You couldn't off the good flowers.
Yes, because as I said, it's a very mean thought. But the flower,
not the big one.
No, not the centre.
Honestly, that is.
These flowers are a dead end. I said it's a very harsh way of thinking about it, but I want these to grow. I want them to get nice and big, and then I'll get loads more flowers.
Well, would they not just outgrow themselves? Would the blooms not just finish and then carry on again? Or is that encouraging more vigorous growth like that?
Well, it's setting you back, because if you wait for those flowers to finish and then for it to start getting bigger, it's one of those things you can end up more haste, less speed.
I can't believe that. I didn't know that happened.
But there we go. I said, and we can feel it's really humid at the moment.
Yes.
That is going to grow like the Kappas. We come back in a week's time, that's going to be in flower, but all those plants are going to be much bigger, and it's going to really fill out. Because I think, let's see, how many did I put in? I think 6 plants into a 14-inch basket there.
That's good. And there's a little bit of space in between. And I notice you've still got a rim for the basket, so when you water it, not all the water comes over.
Yes.
Because if you've got it planted right up to the rim, water drains off, doesn't it?
Yes, and there's another thing I'd really recommend is if you've got the water crystals. Unfortunately, we hadn't got hold of them this year. I'm a big fan of them. I found it does cut down the watering. Instead of doing it daily, you can do it once every 3 days. It's something you mix into the compost. You do it once and it's done.
So now you've given that a haircut, all the flowers have gone. There's probably it's a beautiful flowering basket, and suddenly it's bare now, it's bald, it's as bald as a coot. You put that out, they'll start flowering within days, will they?
Oh yes, especially said if it stays nice.
You sure? Are you sure?
If it stays nice, as I said, it's quite mild, it's quite wet. This is ideal growing weather. Apart from the hail we had earlier, that's not good.
And that's it, that's done.
Give it a good water.
Yeah.
Yep, and then that in the pot on the ground for the next week to help it.
And you keep an eye on it as well,
yeah,
can't
keep it sheltered to help it grow on. And yeah, there we go.
Okay. Any no-nos what we should not be doing with them? Anything we should not be putting in there, or does it not matter?
I said I think it's just trying to avoid putting in lots of the purely trailing ones.
Can we have a photo of the way you scalped this one? I mean, I'll hold the flowers up. We'll put that online as well. It was full of beautiful flowers, lovely pink. She's come along with a pair of scissors and taken them all off. And that is a skill. That's the skill of a gardener, isn't it?
That is. It's very much thinking long term.
Yes.
You're like, never mind today. You're upset by this, I can tell.
I was. I'm shocked by it, but it's wonderful.
We're gonna have to give you a strong cup of tea.
All right.
Get over this.
Right, we need to find another topic for next week. So